welcome to another episode of Subvisual Live Talks. This week, I'm very happy to have uh, Chris Keathley with us. Now, Chris, hi again.
How's it going?
All good. Um, so let's get this going. My first question is usually, and I can say usually because this is the third time I'm doing this now, is how have you started in tech? Like, what was your first interest in tech? Was it early on in your life or something that came on later?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess in some sense, I started or like I've always been interested in computers or building things or that sort of stuff, But I didn't actually start programming until I was in college. So I was always like interested-ish, but my interest in computers were always more artistic. So I did a lot of graphic design work and I did a lot of video editing. I worked in a video production company shop when I was a kid, amongst other jobs that I had. And so I was like around it and I was aware of computers and I knew like I like built some PCs and stuff like that for different companies. But yeah, I didn't really get into like programming and engineering until pretty late in my life. I sort of like stumbled backwards into a engineering degree for
Hmm.
university. And
Yeah, I know that in the US it's a bit different from here in Europe and particularly in Portugal. But did you end up going for to college specifically to get an engineering or programming degree? Was that like, so you're saying yes? And the reason I'm asking is if you're saying like you didn't have any background in programming, you didn't really know a lot about it, like what was the drive to go to college to study that?
so I went to school to study electrical engineering.
Hmm.
Um, and I more or less I did it basically because so I in high school I play a lot of music. In high school I played a lot of music and played in different bands and stuff. And I started making guitar pedals at it like and just taught myself how to do that because there's like this whole sort of online groups and forums and stuff that of actual electrical engineers and hobbyists who know how to build like different guitar pedals or effects pedals or whatever. And um, so I started doing that, and that led me to realize that like there was a group of people in the world called electrical engineers, and they did that kind of stuff for a living. So I was like, that seems cool. I was woefully unprepared to go to school to study engineering. Like I didn't have any advanced math at the
Right.
time. Like I just didn't take any of those classes. I didn't have a physics class in school in high school. Like I was totally unprepared to go, but I managed to go and get in and kind of basically went in and immediately realized I was out of my depth and I got a lot of tutoring and got a lot of
And
like
so
help from
does
people who knew
electrical
more.
engineering there did it have a lot of programming already in the like in the program of the course? Or did you
So
choose like as electives and
yeah, so I realized pretty quickly that I liked programming, and I liked like the digital electronics side of stuff, and like microcontrollers and those sorts of circuit design stuff. And I gravitated towards that, away from the other topics that you typically get in electrical engineering, which is like power transfer and signal processing. Well, not signal processing stuff, but like electromagnets and those sorts of topics. I never really got into any of that stuff, mostly because that's like the really heavy math side of things, and I suck at math, or like just completely sucked at math in college. So um, I never gravitated to that, but I really loved the microcontroller stuff. I loved digital electronics. I loved all that logic, and that was sort of my first real exposure to programming, um, mostly through C and and those sorts of things. And I just really loved it. I really uh, I just gravitated toward that, and so I kind of kept doing it all through college.
hmm
And by the end of university, I was sort of like I I knew pretty clearly like I didn't actually want to do electronics. Like I mostly just wanted to be a programmer. So I managed to get a job doing C out of school, and just never really looked back.
Okay, Chris, we're having some technical difficulties here. I'm gonna ask you to wait a minute, and while I fix it, is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, cool.
And for everyone that's listening, we'll be back in a minute. Sorry about that.